Okay, so this is the answer video from the work from Friday. Before we get into the answer, I just want to sort of have a quick statement about, obviously the situation we're in and you guys actually watching these videos. I am making them obviously for your benefit, and I'm trying to make them pretty short and pretty to the point. I'm really not giving you too much work per day, especially when I'm talking to some of the other math teachers. And I really need a lot of you to start watching the videos and also trying. So when I'm looking at your work, a lot of you are using photomath. A lot of you are just writing stuff down that I'm sure a lot of you don't even know what you're writing, because there's like two equal signs, and there's you have like x plus 4 equals 6 and getting x equals 12. And I shouldn't say a lot of you. I guess it's just because I've graded 97 over the last 2 hours. Majority of you are actually trying. Majority of you are, even if you are possibly using photomath or some other way of getting answers, at least it looks like you're trying to write down the answers and trying to sort of figure out what you're doing. Whereas some of you guys are just writing down what your phone's giving you. Also, some of you guys didn't follow the instructions and did not show every step. So basically, and I'm going to kind of type this all out and put it on Classroom as well. But if you have any questions as to why your grade is the way it is, I wrote that in Classroom. The grades are kind of staying how they are. So if you got a 0, if you got a 1, that's on you. There really is nothing that's going to change, because again, I wrote the explanations of why you got the grade you got. And again, most of it is because you're not trying, or you copy the work using photomath, or something like that. So it is what it is. And moving forward, as you can kind of tell, I'm going to be grading these a little bit harsher than I grade the homework in the past, simply because it's less work. And if you watch the 6 or 7 minute video that I post each day and try on these things, you really can get this done in about 20 minutes. We usually have class for 40 minutes, and then you have homework on top of that. So I'm really not asking for a lot. So there's really no excuse or anything for what happened on Friday. If you got a 0, you got a 1, again, that's on you. So moving on from that. So for my other video, what we did was we foiled both sides. And a lot of you did this correct, so I guess some of you guys watched the video, which is good. But some of you guys, when you foiled on both sides, foiled incorrectly. So either you didn't watch the video or you really didn't understand it, and you kind of possibly just wanted to get it done on Friday. But when I foil, when I square root on the left side, I get x minus 3. On the right side, I can't just square the square root and square the 1. Just to kind of take like a simple example, if you had this equation, right, which everybody I'm hoping can understand that. If you just square this and you just square you square the 3 and square the 1, obviously now this doesn't make any sense, right? So when you're doing this and you are squaring one side of the equation and you have two terms, you have to foil. You have to say 3 times 3, 3 times 1, 3 times 3, 1 times 1, right? And then you would get your answer, which is 16, and then obviously 4 squared is 16. So that same concept is what we're doing here. If we're looking at the problem, what we have is, let me just erase this real quick. Okay, so what you had to have done is foiled. So if you didn't foil, okay, and you didn't show your work foiling, if you just skipped right to the next step, it was very clear that you used either photomath or you just copied the answers from somebody. So we get x minus 3, and then if we do the square root of x plus 4 times the square root of x plus 4, that would be the square root of x plus 4 squared. Okay, so if we're doing the first part, this part right here, x plus 4 times x plus 4 is x plus 4 squared. Okay, and squaring the square root would give us x plus 4 when we do the first. Okay, outer, I would get negative 1 times the square root of x plus 4 would give me negative x plus 4. Negative 1 times the square root of x plus 4 would give me the negative square root of x plus 4. And then last, minus 1 times minus 1 gives me a plus 1. So now, which is where I think a lot of you guys got a little stuck. When we're adding these two like terms, what we have to do is we have to add the coefficients. So it's negative 1 and a negative 1 give me a negative 2, all right? And then just like when we have, negative 1x minus negative 1x, and you would get negative 2x, the variable in this case would be the square root of x plus 4. So when I combine the like terms, I get negative 2, the square root x plus 4, just like how you would get negative 2x, okay? And then we have this plus 1 at the end, okay? So now, let's erase this guy. Okay, so now I'm going to try to combine like terms, all right? My like terms that I'm seeing, let's use a highlighter here, are x and x. And then my like terms, let's see if this comes out right. Okay, that's okay. Negative 3, positive 4, and positive 1, okay? This is its own term, all right? It's just like if you had like a negative 2, in some variable, that's its own term. So if I combine the like terms by, that's still a highlighter, by subtracting x on both sides. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down here. Okay, I get negative 3 equals 4. But actually, let's go ahead and just add the 4 and the 1 on one side of the equation. Okay, just to make it a little more simpler. Okay, you would get a 5 minus 2 square root of x plus 4. All right, next thing I would do is I'm trying to get this radical by itself. I'm trying to, get this set equal to something so that we can square both sides. So if I was just looking at this guy as, and let's just kind of do it over here. If I had like negative 3 equals 5 minus 2, z, if I was pretending that this z was this radical here, okay, what you would do on both sides is you would subtract 5, okay, and then divide by negative 2. So we're going to do the same thing with our equation here. I'm going to subtract 5. And then divide by negative 2. All right, and what I would get, let me just kind of scoot this down, is 4 equals the square root of x plus 4. All right, now to get rid of this square root, I'm going to square both sides. Okay, and then subtract 4 on both sides and get my answer. Okay, my answer of 12. Now the only thing I have to do is go back to the original problem and just make sure that 12 is not an extraneous solution. So if I'm looking, and let me try to go back here. Okay, if I put 12 back into the original equation, that's probably too large of a radical. 12 minus 3 equals 12 plus 4 minus 1 would give me the square root of 9 equals the square root of 16 minus 1. 3 equals 4 minus 1. Yes, it does. Okay, so that is correct. I was right, correct. I got a new stylus, if you haven't noticed, so my handwriting is a little bit neater, which is cool, because writing with that stylus before was essentially just writing with almost like an eraser, which was pretty terrible. So now I actually have a point, which is nice. So anyway, this is good. This is a non-extraneous solution, and that's my answer.